Panchayat University, Gadag. He has served the state and central government bodies in various capacities. He was a member of the governing body of National Testing Agency, member South Zone Regional Committee of NCTE, member All India Board of Vocational Education, advisor NAC. He also served as chairman, National Vocational Education Qualification Framework State Committee, and advisor to Karnataka Vocational Training and Skill Development Corporation. He also headed Karnataka Vocational Training and Skill Development Corporation as the Executive Director. Once again, a warm welcome to you, sir, on behalf of everyone. Professor Yashavantha Dongre, sir, is currently the Vice Chancellor of the Chanakya University. Formerly, he was a Professor of Commerce and Dean of the Faculty at the University of Mysore. He was a visiting professor at Vishnukant University, Kyoto, and a Japan Foundation Fellow at the University of Tokyo. He has published over 100 journal articles and several edited books. He was a consultant to the High Power Committee on Cooperation, set up by the Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India. He has carried out major research projects funded by the Ford Foundation, US, Suprata Foundation, Hong Kong, University of Technology, Sydney, and International Cooperative Alliance. He currently chairs the Asia Pacific Regional Research Committee of the International Cooperative Alliance. Before I hand over the mic to the speakers, we would like to set the tone for the session. Let me place the context for the current session. NEP talks about graded autonomy for degree colleges. Assessment and accreditation is visualized as enabler for graded autonomy for degree granting colleges. How do we ensure that a large number of colleges attain autonomy within a stipulated time? What systemic and systematic changes are required to do so? More so, what would be the responsibilities of the universities in helping the colleges and holding the colleges in attaining the autonomy? So these are the focus of today's session. Thank you. Over to Vishnukant Chatpalli, sir.
Namaskara. ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರಾದ ಯಶವಂತ ಡೊಂಗ್ರೆ ಅವರೇ, ಈ ಸಭಾಂಗಣದಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಜನ ಪರಿಚಿತರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೆಸರು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಕಷ್ಟ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಆತ್ಮೀಯರು ಮತ್ತು ಇಡೀ ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಡೆಲಿಗೇಟ್ಸ್, ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಆಲ್. It took some time for me to reimagine about assessment and accreditation process. The name itself, when I read, I thought that reimaging initially. But when keenly read the entire topic that was suggested, it took some time to imagine. And that imagination which I would have presented off the dais, I am presenting on the dais today. So these are my imagination about the assessment and accreditation process. Fortunately, I had around 3 years period wherein I worked in NAC before joining as Vice Chancellor of the University for 3 years as advisor there. And there is another person who has worked for 21 years in NAC, that is Dr. Madhukar is there. So my views on this entire process of reimagining the A&E process in the context of national education policy. I'll be presenting my views and some may be critical also, which we discussed with Yashavantha Dongre what he is going to present. So he said that what I am going to present, he will critically review it. So I thought that he will be presenting first and I would have the time to critically review it, but I was told I should present first. Okay, anyhow, the ways of measuring quality over the period and assessment process with the changing times. India started measuring quality in education after the education policy, national education policy was presented in 1986. Means from 47 to 93, it doesn't mean that there was no quality. But there was no measure for doing quality. So then the process of NBA was established, NAC was established. And after long time later, Quality Council of India was established, and there are several agencies which came into existence after NAC. My primary focus will be on the general education only, because I will not be talking much on National Board of Accreditation, because that's a small number. And irrespective of the process of NBA, institutions are required to undergo NAC also. So for institution, it's a double dhamaka. But institutions say that they prefer NAC than NBA. So these are all issues which have been there since last 30 years. And this changing of ways of measuring the quality, the measurement have been changed, but the process almost has remained same. So taking into consideration the fact of in the entire document of NEP, there are 27 chapters, 18 chapters, 4th point. My again simple point is, in the entire document, there is only one para on quality. And that is enough. I don't say that I am not measuring again the quantity there. It has precisely made one para, that is point number 4 in the 18th chapter, which says that. So this shall be the basis of discussion in the coming days, because the NEP document is the basis now. So formation of a National Accreditation Council, what they call it as NAC. And there again they have defined accreditation. There were days in 1993-94, people had difficulty in spelling accreditation. It is just like Czechoslovakia. I don't know how many people can write Czechoslovakia. So the accreditation spelling is also like that. But people are used to now writing accreditation. Many times when I write, I just again recollect whether I am writing correct or not. But the process is easy. Spelling is difficult. So the accreditation process basically is based on basic norms of public and self-disclosure. And what I am telling accreditation process, because India is part of the both NBA and NAC globally, we are partner or signatories of the Washington Accord and other things. So this is, by and large, it is aligned with the global practices, what we are doing in our country also. It is more of self-disclosure about good governance and outcomes. This is being practiced, and the same has been again said in the document of NEP. But they have said that executed by independent ecosystem supervised by NAC. So there is again sometimes understanding difficult. NAC is also NAC, NAAC also is NAC. So this is single A, NAC. So there is a need to establish a body of NAC, and that will supervise the entire process. And graded accreditation shall be established to specify phased benchmarks to achieve quality, self-governance and autonomy. In India, benchmarking in the quality system in the NAC process and NBA process started just around 4 or 5 years back. Till then, benchmarking in the quality process was not a very regular practice, and there is again a concept whether the benchmark should be revealed or benchmark should not be revealed. By practice, people understand, or by imagination again, understand what is the benchmark and try to work towards the benchmark, not towards quality. This is another point which I would like to highlight. So, what will make to get you 4 or 3 people will start working? I don't say manipulation, but there is again this ethical point of whether the benchmarks are to be revealed or not. Till now, NAC has not revealed the benchmarks. Again, in this document, there is one point which has been said that institution, through the mechanism of institutional developmental plan, phased a manner in 15 years to achieve higher level of accreditation. I am not going more details on the statistical parts of what are the, but still I will give a summary of how many institutions have been accredited. But the process which has been suggested now, to achieve this, it may take around 15 years. If we take 2020 as the base year. And long run has been suggested binary process as a global, as per the global practice, which will be dealt in detail by Dongre. I am critically saying that binary practice, whatever is suggested today in the document, was already practiced in NAC in the 90s. Initially, I was also discussing with them. Globally, it is a practice that all institutions are classified in 2 buckets. Again, the words bucket they use, which I am against this terminology. They say buckets in different forms. There are 2 buckets, they say. One is a accredited bucket and another is a non-accredited bucket. NAC was doing this initially in 90s and then abandoned it. So there is a need to revisit why it was abandoned. And if we have to go ahead with the binary process, sir, why NAC had started the binary process and then accredited? Anyhow, I am giving my views on that. And this everyone, by and large, we agree on this. Quality is not a static phenomenon. It is dynamic. And quality doesn't come overnight. Shoe mandar hakidre quality barala. Overnight it comes incrementally. It's a dynamic. And excellence of this target goes on moving. So quality traditionally was specifically used when it started in 90s. It was an internal matter of the higher education institution. And more so, quality was used as a parameter of the institution to conform the norms of the regulatory agencies. That was the only purpose. Again, there is a need to debate on that. Whether the institutions, when we were in NAC, we were always telling, if NAC grading is used as one of the measure for giving RUSA funding, giving ODL, giving autonomy, then there is more pressure on NAC to give grade. And what will happen, and all of us know that if there is monopoly in this system, then how grading can lead to subjectivity rather than objectivity. And this was in the initial stage until now also. During the NEP process also, NAC grading is used as a compliance or for regulatory measure. And hence quality is a social construct and such it requires reflection. So I congratulate the organizers that they have created a platform for this dialogue. And this dialogue has to continue. Reflection has to take place of what we did in the last 30 years with the process of quality and in what context the HUA operates. We also know that quality, this measure is a good tool which helps us to understand and helps us to measure the quality of an institution. And many a times it's felt that quality is IQAC person's responsibility. And those who are IQAC coordinators, they feel very happy that the right statement has been made. Because in all institutions there is one person who takes care of quality, just like there is a moral science teacher person who takes care of values. So it is their responsibility. So quality is whose responsibility? IQAC. And many a time we say that IQAC is a mechanism. It is a process. It is not end of the hour. So, unless we understand that quality is a culture in an institution, and A&M is only an outcome or a process which leads to quality. But people start focusing on accreditation process rather than quality. So I acknowledge the good effort Sri Bhushan Patwardhan and his team. Actually, he is the right person to speak on this entire topic. The document which they have developed, just like the MEP document, the document which was developed by Mr. Bhushan Patwardhan, a white paper, they have developed this document and reviewed 42nd time, 43rd time this document has come. The review process. So I have tried to understand this entire document several times. It's an 84-page document, of which I have just written the highlights. They have thoroughly gone through the entire process of 30-40 years, what is happening in India and what is happening elsewhere. And they have made certain these points. There is a need for a robust system of accreditation to be created based on the principles of transparency, self-disclosure, same thing. Handholding has been a very important concept which they have tried to develop in case of the process of quality development, where the universities or institutions which have already been accredited, they will help the institution for accreditation process to enhance quality. NAC has also developed, NBA had also developed a mechanism of handholding, mentoring, incubation, ongoing quality improvements and all. The assessment approach needs to be shifted. Now the present process also of NAC has got input metrics, process metrics and output metrics. There is also in NBA, NAC or any accreditation process, there is more weightage given on process-based metrics rather than inputs and output. But so there is a shift to be made, and that is from input-based. They have suggested that the quality has to be measured based on the outcomes of education. They have suggested this one important mechanism, what they have called it as TEFA, which is the final version of the present process. Technology-enabled real-time formative assessment needs to be introduced to reduce burden of HEI in data collection. I want to use this again, the same concept. For the first time, Higher Education Institute, they have recoined the name Higher Education Institutes. Instead of that, he has said that Higher Education of India, HEI. In general, it is Higher Education Institution, but he has used this concept of Higher Education of India, and all the entire 5 years, cycle 1 to cycle 2, the institution faculty at the fag end of the NAC process, all are busy in only data collection. 5 years they don't do. I was telling there is a NAC visit for Karnataka University today, and last 3 months instead of data collection they are busy in only painting. So this is how the process is understood, and the document of Bhushan Patwardhan also suggests for binary mode, and he has made some clarification, some little detail. He has suggested binary mode while the programs can be assessed and graded. These are two different things. NAC does institutional accreditation and NBA does program accreditation. So this is again my view. I am telling Bhushan Patwardhan might have wanted to make it a little easier and he has made complicated. He has mixed both NBA and NAC together. So do institutional accreditation and also program accreditation. And there is another suggestion, one nation, one data, possible approach. There is a possible approach. When our Prime Minister has suggested that one sun, one world and one grid, you can develop energy in Bangalore and send it to New Zealand also, which is possible, and that they have done. One sun, one world, one grid, which was very difficult. If we had more power in Bhutan, we were getting power in West Bengal and Northeast. But we were not able to send the power outside. But this process of, if this happens, one data, one nation, one data, possible approach that will bring a biggest change in the process of NAC. And I have my own doubts on that. Adopting technology-enabled path to ensure the principle of equity and access articulated in NEP 2020, which is the other session which is going to be discussed on equity, and I am not going to dwell on that. But in the document they have also suggested, this is what has been suggested in the document I have taken as it is. It may be difficult to measure the aspects of relevance, impact, and also those of values. Hence, the onus lies on all of us. Deliberate deeply on these before implementing them. What they have suggested in the document, by the end of the conclusion, he has said, what I have said, don't start tomorrow binary. So deliberation is required deeply on this before implementing them, and I think this is one platform where the deliberation can happen. In brief, AID process is a dynamic process. Whether the organization is dynamic, I don't know, but the process is dynamic. Navika, please don't laugh. In 1994 it started, and till 2016, from 1994 to 2016, it was the same subjective process. I said binary. Then this process was started and left. Now some institutions are in fourth cycle. I am happy that institution which got first time accredited, that is St. Joseph College, maybe 96. Now it has become university. And there are some few institutions who are in the fourth cycle. There was a rating process called as 3 star, 5 star, 4 star. They did good by abandoning this 3 star, 4 star process. And what is rating, what is ranking, what is grading is again a different process of understanding. NIRF does on a different method, what is called as ranking. And it has gone continuous modification. Framework has remained the same. The mode has changed in all these processes. I was also astonished when I saw the NAC processes and other processes all over the country and globally also. Why they have used in India, globally also there are only 7 criteria, because the criteria, the fundamentals of education remain same. And India is very fond of 7 numbers, Saptapadi, Saptaswara, Saptarushi, Sapta, everything Sapta. So they have also used the same terminology of 7. And that has not changed. But in 2017 March, the smooth transition of the new framework happened. And that was called as RAF. But when I went to Srinagar and all, the day I went to Srinagar, there was Pulwama attack on that day. And they were telling that this is not RAF, it is a rapid action force only. revised accreditation course is lifetime, and it is an ICT-enabled framework. And the entire present process is data-driven evaluation model, system-generated cumulative CGPA, which is coming by system. Earlier there was peer teams visiting, and these peer teams they were visiting, they were called as demigods because they were giving the grade. Now it is not there. So this is just a slide on the. I am not going to. This is the only in terms of institutions we have so much. Universities. You tell any kind of universities there in India and Karnataka also. People used to say deemed and doomed and all. I have not understood what is deemed and what is deemed to be universities. And there are the number of universities. In terms of colleges, there are 40,000 colleges in this country. And our spread out is so high from the hilly state, rural area, semi-urban, urban area. There is a music university, there is a food university, Ayurveda university, several universities. With all this is the latest data from the NAC website from August 22. You saw the earlier thing. How many universities are there? And in 30 years, how many universities have got accredited? 374. Out of these 374, some are cycle 1, some are cycle 2, some are cycle 3 also. It is not unique number of 374. That I try to understand and figure out. I can tell it, but it may become not authentic, so I have not been able to do it. College is 6. Out of how many colleges? 40,000 colleges. How many have got accredited? People are, when we go, we have traveled across country, Madhukar, myself and many people, so many universities. They don't get fear of devil, they have got fear of accreditation. And these are the challenges. This is my last slide. The challenge still remains. Source of evidence is limited to the data provided by the HA. Now in the process of online or whatever we use, many regulatory and other things they are all done by online mechanism. The challenge remains that is limited to the data provided by the sources. So whatever data you have provided, they need to get validated, they need to get verified, and the verification which is done, that is to be verified by another person, by another agency. And because the data is not clean, we are not able to use blockchain mechanism or some other mechanism, and still we have to rely on manually for the validation of data. So the data is one of the important. If we have to take for technology-enabled real-time data process, then data is one of the. And I still feel ecosystem of higher education is unprepared for a completely ICT-driven tool. The spread which is there are several colleges which we are aware. Internet, net issue, technology, ICT based. There are colleges where there is no electricity. There is leave infrastructure and all those things. These are issues which I am not going to again go in detail. And capturing the diversity of the system in our country, a tool of our type of institution. Again, we have got the diverse institutions. Capturing these data through the different institutions is very difficult. This is one of the challenges and the task I have. Assessing both assessing both HEI and program. Think of the programs here, they have again classified UG program, PG program, humanities, commerce, science, all these programs. Then in an institution, you take like Ramaya institution. The institution, we have to accredit the entire institution and several programs. So assessing both programs and institution is a great challenge. And they have used again the terminology assessing the attributes and educatedness. This is a new terminology that they have used. Or this is a very familiar terminology, I don't know. Literacy is very easy to understand. Educatedness, how that is to be assessed. And higher order cognitive capacities is again because the tool that has to measure the higher order cognitive and comprehensive rubrics for assessment has to be done for program wise. And evolving process tool which has got stability. To capture all these things, imagining is easy. It took time for me to write the challenges, but I have broadly written these are the challenges and tasks ahead. And if these are to be dealt very by discussion and dialogue, we should be able to. And keeping this, ensuring the spirit of competitiveness and measures of quality, implementation of a new process to be done gradual and careful through stakeholder deliberation and dialogue to achieve excellence. I think we should not hurry. We should continue this dialogue, deliberate, because the kind of institutions which we are having and the measurement that we want to do for assessment and accreditation has to be done very carefully and with lot of discussion. And I always believe, I come from the same University of Rural Development and Panchayat, which is focused on the principles and ideals of Mahatma Gandhi. We must be the change that we wish to see in people. I thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity and sharing my thoughts. Thank you.
Very good morning. Thank you, Vishnukant Chatpalli for completing part of my topic and also taking part of my time. That makes things easy for me. Our source is the same. He started with Bhushan Patwardhan's white paper, and the full title of that paper I have put here, that's all. So I have added that part also. I am taking one page out of that, page 45, or something like that, where the binary accreditation is being talked about, and just try to elaborate on that. I am doing this for two reasons. Number one, I know that I am speaking to a very learned, informed audience, and therefore I think there is a possibility that we take this forward in terms of actually realizing this kind of a thing. The second, unlike Professor Vishnukant Chatpalli, who was in NAC, was in a team in other bodies, I had a very long time in the university and 100% always in the receiving end. So 40 years in the university, and I have seen through 4 accreditation process, 4 cycle of accreditation process in the university, and I know the pains of living through this process, old system, new system, all those kinds of things. Now, given that our travel towards still not fully known NEP landscape, a few things are going to happen. Many of us will start moving towards that, I think, in a very gradual, step-by-step process. Some universities can be slightly adventurous and maybe try and do this, more rigorously. In any case, NEP provides so much scope for us to be different and innovative that the higher education institutions will not be doing the same things. They will all be doing very different kind of things because it all depends on how we look at NEP, how we understand NEP, how we want to make use of this opportunity and address the problems of higher education or really make higher education meaningful. So what is going to happen then? Institutions will be doing different things and therefore to have one common set of a standard framework to measure, assess is going to be extremely difficult. So I am doing something which you may think that I don't understand. You are doing totally different thing. But this is precisely I think what NEP wants or NEP is talking about, that we should be doing that. Now, maybe we are moving to a liberal education model, and if we are moving to a liberal education model, we may be forgetting all the structures of the patterns of credit and other kind of things in a program. We may be coming out with the programs where somebody will enter to one university and then move to another and finally graduate from something else. I mean, just imagine, this is the kind of a landscape that we are looking at. So how do we really proceed creating an enabling environment for higher educational institutions? For me, accreditation should be necessarily something that we do to make sure that we give that confidence to the institutions and also to the learners that okay, I can go to this institution and learn and nothing beyond that. If you start grading them, if you start ranking them, if you start assigning them a value, then I think most of our vision will go towards the differentiation than the benchmark. So accreditation under the NEP domain should necessarily restrict itself to that benchmarking to see whether this institution qualify or not, whether this institution can be endorsed or not. Once it is endorsed, people should be happy, okay, I know I can join this institution, not beyond that. For other things, you may have other competitions. For RUSA funding to so many other kind of things, if you have to look at other criteria, you can do that. You may at best say that all accredited institutions are eligible. And then after that, different kind of things. In any case, there is IDP. NEP very clearly says that everything depends on the institutional development plan. Anyone who has a real sound institutional development plan can definitely push their, go towards seeking the funds. Therefore, I take this particular page out of Bush and Patwardhan's white paper of the binary accreditation and try to argue that this probably is a thing that we should try because this will help institutions in multiple ways. Whether it is going back to the old pattern or whatever it is. Number one, we are talking under NEP possibility of different accrediting institutions. So it is not that only one NAC is going to do the accreditation, we are going to have multiple institutions for accreditation. Which also means that every accrediting agency can prioritize different set of things for accreditation, not necessarily the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 kind of things to be put into all institutions to measure them. You can actually have different kind of things. That gives an opportunity for large number of institutions to pick and choose from which institution they have to get accredited, depending on what I am doing. Okay. So as a higher education institution, I have done some innovation, I have done something new. I feel that accrediting agency A is better for me because their assessment pattern suits me. Now this, number one, covers large number of institutions easily. Number two, gives a lot of confidence for educational institutions to innovate and do new things. Number three, sets a benchmark of some kind, some common kind for everybody and then identifies, okay, these are the accredited institutions and gives that much of confidence to the learners, to the parents, everybody to enroll into those institutions. So therefore, instead of going into any kind of grading, whether, of course, there are issues in the white paper as Prof. Vishnukant rightly said, should you combine what MBA is doing, what NAC is doing, should you have both program grading and accreditation of the institutions. Those kinds of things are there, which needs to be, of course, looked into. But if you are looking at institutional accreditation, for me, I think the binary method is going to be the easiest way to negotiate, broadest way possible to accommodate large number of institutions, something that gives scope for accreditation based on varying parameters or varying subject matters, depending on the kind of activities and programs and innovations that the educational institutions would do down the line. So, therefore, I told when we were discussing yesterday, he asked me what are you going to say, and I said, I just thought I'll speak about binary accreditation and say that is the best way forward. And then he said he's against that. So maybe I should have spoken first and he should have spoken after that. But he has made his point. But I thought I'll still make my point and say that this way forward is going to be one best smooth way for us facilitating our movement towards that new landscape, still unknown landscape, namely the national education policy. That's my point. Thank you very much, and I'll be willing to take questions if there is any discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I ask Madam Padmavati to do the honors of expressing the on behalf of CES and the organizers of this conference, we would like to thank you, sir,